God says, "Listen closely, my beloved soul, before you allow distraction to take you away from this moment, before you assume this is just another ordinary message passing through your screen. Pause and understand that something sacred is happening right now, and it is not by accident that you are here reading these words at this exact second, because in a world filled with millions of voices and endless noise, the fact that your eyes have landed here is already a sign that heaven has gently guided your attention towards something meant specifically for you. And today the angels are declaring that you are first in line for a miracle that has already been prepared in the unseen realm, a miracle that has been forming quietly behind the scenes while you were simply trying to survive, while you were holding yourself together, while you were questioning whether anything good was still possible for you. You may not feel like someone who is first in line for anything. You may feel overlooked, delayed, forgotten, or even tired of hoping, but heaven does not measure readiness the way the world does. Heaven does not look at your bank account, your popularity, your past mistakes, or your current doubts. Heaven looks at your endurance, your resilience, your ability to keep going even when you did not understand why you were still fighting, and there were nights when you cried without telling anyone. Mornings when your heart felt heavy yet you still showed up for your responsibilities, moments when you felt like giving up but something inside you whispered, "Not yet," and that whisper was not weakness, it was strength, it was divine protection guiding you toward a day like today. The angels are not dramatic messengers of fear, they are quiet carriers of hope, and when they say you are first in line, it does not mean you are better than anyone else. It means you are positioned, it means the lessons you have learned, the patience you have developed, the humility you have embraced, and the growth you have experienced have aligned you with a blessing that requires this version of you, not the old version who doubted everything, not the broken version who chased what was not meant for you, but this present version who has learned to pause, reflect, and trust even when the path was unclear. There were seasons when nothing seemed to move forward, when doors closed without explanation, when opportunities slipped through your fingers, when relationships changed in ways you did not expect, and you may have interpreted those moments as rejection, but they were actually redirection. They were quiet adjustments ensuring that when your miracle arrived, it would not overwhelm you or destroy you. Because sometimes receiving too early can be more dangerous than waiting, and heaven will never rush a blessing that requires maturity, stability, and emotional readiness. You have grown in ways you do not even recognize. You have become more discerning about who you allow close to your heart, more intentional about your energy, more aware of your worth. And even though you still have moments of insecurity, you no longer settle the way you once did, you no longer beg for attention the way you once did, you no longer chase validation the way you once did. And that quiet transformation is what has moved you to the front of the line, because miracles are not random rewards, they are divine responses to preparation. Imagine standing at the edge of a new chapter without fully realizing it. Imagine that everything you thought was a delay was actually construction, that everything you thought was silence was actually strategy, that everything you thought was loss was actually clearing space for something better. Because the miracle prepared for you is not just about one event, it is about a shift, a change in atmosphere, a realignment of circumstances, a movement of favor that begins subtly and grows steadily until you look back and realize your life has transformed in ways you once only imagined in quiet prayers. This miracle may not look like fireworks or dramatic announcements. It may look like peace replacing anxiety, clarity replacing confusion, stability replacing chaos, or provision replacing stress, and sometimes the greatest blessing is not a sudden gain but a deep inner calm that tells you everything is finally moving in the right direction, and when that calm arrives, you will know it did not come from your own effort alone. It came from divine timing working perfectly behind the scenes. There is something powerful about being first in line. It means the preparation is complete. It means the waiting season has served its purpose. It means you are no longer in the classroom of that particular lesson. You are stepping into application, into manifestation, into tangible results, and even if you cannot yet see the full picture, you can feel that something is shifting, that something is softening, that something is opening, and that feeling is not imagination, it is confirmation. Think about the moments when you almost gave up completely, when you thought nothing was changing, when you questioned whether your faith mattered at all, and yet here you are, still breathing, still hoping, still searching for meaning, and that alone proves that you were never abandoned, because if you were meant to break, you would have broken already. If you were meant to stay stuck, you would not be sensing this new energy rising within you. If you were meant to remain in that old chapter, you would not feel this subtle anticipation building in your spirit. The angels are saying this is not coincidence, this is confirmation, confirmation that the cycle of struggle is closing, confirmation that the chapter of uncertainty is fading, confirmation that the seeds you planted in faith are beginning to grow beneath the surface even if you cannot yet see the harvest, and when the harvest appears, it will not feel foreign, it will feel familiar, because deep down you have always known you were meant for more than survival, you were meant for purpose, alignment, and fulfillment. You may have doubted yourself, you may have questioned your path, you may have felt behind compared to others, but comparison has no power in divine timing, because your journey has never been meant to look like anyone else's, your growth has been specific, your challenges have been tailored to strengthen unique parts of your character, and your blessing will also be unique, designed to fit the exact shape of your life, not someone else's expectations. As you continue reading, allow your heart to open gently, not with pressure, not with fear, but with quiet expectation, because expectation shifts energy, expectation changes posture, expectation prepares you to receive instead of resist, and you are being invited to receive, not with arrogance, not with entitlement, but with gratitude and humility. Understanding that everything unfolding now is the result of divine orchestration that began long before you were aware of it. The miracle prepared for you carries restoration, clarity, provision, and direction. It carries answers to questions you have been holding quietly. It carries healing for wounds you tried to hide. It carries opportunities that align with your true path rather than distract you from it. And as you move forward from this moment, do not shrink back into old doubt, do not minimize what is unfolding, do not assume it is too good to be true, because what is from God does not come to confuse you, it comes to elevate you gently and steadily. You are not reading this by chance, you are reading this because your spirit was ready to hear it, and as you step into the rest of this message, carry this truth with you. You are first in line not because you demanded it, but because you endured for it, not because you forced it, but because you prepared for it, and the blessing that has been prepared for you is closer than you think, moving toward you even now in ways you cannot yet see but will soon understand. There is a reason the feeling inside you has been shifting lately, a quiet sense that something is about to change even if your outer circumstances still look the same, and that inner stirring is not random emotion but spiritual alignment, because when heaven prepares a blessing it often begins by adjusting your thoughts, softening your fears, strengthening your patience, and expanding your vision before anything physical happens. And you may have noticed that you are not reacting the same way you used to. You are not panicking as quickly, you are not chasing as desperately, you are not collapsing under pressure as easily, and that transformation is evidence that you are being positioned carefully for what is coming next. The angels are saying that being first in line is not about competition, it is about readiness, and readiness does not always feel glamorous. Sometimes readiness feels like isolation, like being misunderstood, like walking alone for a while, like letting go of relationships that once felt important, like declining opportunities that once felt urgent, and you may have questioned those decisions. You may have wondered if you were making mistakes. But what felt like loss was actually preparation, because the miracle prepared for you cannot coexist with certain patterns, certain distractions, or certain compromises that once felt acceptable. There were doors you wanted to open so badly, there were situations you tried to fix with your own effort, there were people you hoped would change, and when those things did not move the way you expected, you felt disappointed, but heaven was protecting you from settling into something smaller than your destiny, because sometimes what looks like delay is divine editing. Removing scenes from your life that would have led you away from your highest alignment, and now that those scenes have closed, there is space for something greater to enter. You have survived emotional storms that no one fully understood, you have faced silent battles that never made headlines, you have carried responsibilities without applause, and through all of it you kept going, not perfectly, not flawlessly, but faithfully, and that faith does not have to be loud to be powerful, it only has to be consistent, and your consistency is what has placed you where you are now. Standing at the edge of a new shift, sensing that something good is unfolding even if you cannot yet see it clearly. The miracle prepared for you is layered, it is not a single moment but a sequence of aligned events, conversations, realizations, and opportunities that begin to connect in ways that surprise you, and when it begins, you may not recognize it immediately as a miracle because it will feel natural, it will feel right, it will feel like a door opening smoothly instead of being forced, and that is how you will know it is from God, because what is from God does not require manipulation, it does not require anxiety, it does not require you to shrink or pretend, it allows you to stand fully as yourself. There is also a healing aspect attached to this blessing, because miracles are not only about external gain, they are about internal restoration, and there are parts of your heart that still carry disappointment, still carry doubt, still carry the memory of things that did not work out, and as this new season unfolds, those memories will lose their weight, they will no longer define you, they will no longer control your expectations, they will simply become chapters that taught you resilience and wisdom, and you will realize that nothing you went through was wasted. You may have felt like you were behind others, watching people move ahead in careers, relationships, finances, or recognition, but divine timing does not operate on comparison, it operates on alignment, and alignment requires that every piece be in place before movement happens, and now the pieces are aligning, not because you rushed them, but because you matured into the version of yourself that can sustain what is coming. And sustaining a blessing is just as important as receiving one. The angels want you to understand that humility is still essential in this next chapter, because being first in line does not mean becoming proud or careless, it means remaining grounded, remaining grateful, remaining aware that everything good flows from divine grace, and as you step into this new flow of favor, protect your peace, protect your energy, protect your focus, because not everyone will understand the shift happening in your life, and not everyone needs to, the miracle was prepared for you, not for public approval. There will be subtle confirmations along the way, small signs that reassure you that you are moving correctly, conversations that echo thoughts you have been having, opportunities that match prayers you whispered months ago, moments of clarity that replace long-standing confusion, and when those confirmations appear, receive them with gratitude instead of disbelief, because disbelief can close doors that faith has opened, and you have already spent enough time doubting what is possible. It is important to release the habit of expecting disappointment, because when you have faced repeated delays it becomes easy to brace yourself for more, but this time the energy is different, this time the ground beneath you is stable, this time the opportunity will not disappear without explanation, and this time you are stronger, wiser, and more centered than you have ever been, which means you will not sabotage what is meant for you out of fear. The blessing prepared for you may also involve people, new connections, or renewed ones, individuals who recognize your value without you having to convince them, individuals who respect your boundaries, support your growth, and align with your purpose, and when those people enter your life, do not question why they treat you well, do not search for hidden motives in genuine kindness. Learn to accept healthy relationships as part of your miracle rather than exceptions to it. Financial stability, emotional clarity, spiritual growth, and purposeful direction are all intertwined in this season, and as one area begins to strengthen, others will follow, because balance is part of divine design, and you are not meant to thrive in one area while collapsing in another. You are meant to experience wholeness, not perfection, but wholeness, a steady sense that your life is moving forward with intention and grace. There is also a responsibility attached to being first in line, the responsibility to remain compassionate, to remember where you came from, to support others when you are able, to extend kindness instead of judgment, because miracles are not only for personal comfort, they are invitations to reflect divine goodness into the world around you, and the more you share gratitude and encouragement, the more your own blessings multiply in unexpected ways. As you continue through this message, let your heart settle into calm assurance rather than urgency, because this miracle is not fragile, it does not disappear if you blink, it does not depend on panic, it depends on alignment, and alignment has already begun, and even now, behind the scenes, circumstances are adjusting, conversations are being arranged, paths are being cleared, and you are moving closer to tangible evidence of what has been promised. Do not shrink back into old fear when the first sign of change appears, do not question your worth when something good comes easily, do not assume it will vanish, instead stand firmly in quiet confidence, knowing that you have endured enough to deserve stability, that you have grown enough to sustain progress, and that you have trusted enough to receive reward, and as this second part of your journey unfolds, carry this truth deeply within you. You are not hoping for a miracle, you are stepping into one that has already been prepared, and your position at the front of the line is not temporary, it is intentional, and it is unfolding exactly as it should. There is something shifting in the spiritual atmosphere around you right now, something subtle yet powerful, and even if your physical eyes cannot see it clearly, your spirit can sense it, because when you are first in line for a miracle there is always a moment of deep internal transition before the external manifestation appears, and this transition feels like clarity replacing confusion, like calm replacing chaos, like strength replacing fear, and you may not have noticed it fully yet, but the way you think, the way you react, and the way you carry yourself has already begun to change in preparation for what is coming. The angels are saying that what is prepared for you cannot be delayed any longer because you have completed a cycle that once kept you waiting, and completion does not always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like finally accepting what you cannot control, finally releasing what no longer serves you, finally forgiving what once hurt you deeply. And that emotional maturity is what qualifies you to step into a higher level of blessing without repeating old patterns. You have spent seasons learning patience in ways that tested your faith. You have endured nights where you questioned whether your prayers were heard. You have faced moments where silence felt louder than answers, and through all of it you continued forward even when you felt unseen, and heaven never missed a single tear, a single doubt, or a single silent request that rose from your heart, because divine timing is not forgetful, it is precise. And now that precision is unfolding in your favor, in ways that will soon become undeniable. The miracle prepared for you is not random luck, it is the result of alignment between your growth and your destiny, and alignment only happens when you are ready to receive without self-sabotage, without shrinking back, without questioning your worth the moment something good appears in your life. There are doors that once closed in front of you that will now open in new forms, and you may not even recognize them at first because they will look different from what you originally imagined, but the difference is intentional because the version of you who stands here today is not the same version who prayed months ago. You have grown, you have healed, you have become stronger, and what fits you now must match that growth rather than the limitations of your past self. The angels want you to stop measuring your progress by comparison because comparison distorts perception, and perception influences faith, and faith influences reception, so guard your perception carefully and choose to see yourself through the lens of divine preparation rather than human competition. There is also restoration woven into this season, restoration of confidence, restoration of peace, restoration of opportunity, and restoration of hope, and restoration often feels like relief before it feels like celebration, because relief is the first sign that pressure has been lifted, and you have carried pressure for long enough, pressure to prove yourself, pressure to succeed, pressure to maintain appearances, pressure to survive emotionally while appearing strong externally, and now that pressure is easing because the blessing prepared for you does not require you to fight for every inch, it requires you to walk forward with steady faith. You may soon notice conversations changing, opportunities aligning, unexpected support appearing, and ideas flowing more freely, and these are not coincidences but confirmations that the miracle has begun its approach. And when it arrives fully it will not create chaos in your spirit, it will create expansion, because what is from God expands your life without overwhelming your peace, and you will feel grounded even while stepping into something greater than what you have known before. The angels are reminding you to remain grateful in advance because gratitude keeps your heart open, and an open heart receives more easily than a guarded one. And although it is understandable that past disappointments made you cautious, this new chapter is not designed to repeat the old pain. There were moments when you felt forgotten, moments when you thought others were chosen before you, moments when you wondered if your name had been skipped, but heaven does not operate on oversight, it operates on order, and you were not skipped, you were being refined. Because refinement prepares you to carry blessings with integrity rather than insecurity, and integrity ensures longevity rather than temporary success. The miracle coming into your life is not a brief spark, it is a sustained flame, and sustained flames require steady foundations, and you have been building that foundation even when you did not realize it. As this third part of your journey unfolds, understand that divine favor does not always arrive with loud announcements. sometimes it enters quietly through small wins, small breakthroughs, small confirmations that gradually accumulate into undeniable change, and you must pay attention to those subtle shifts because they are the early signs that something significant is unfolding beneath the surface. Trust that even the delays you experienced were positioning you strategically, moving you away from paths that would have drained you and toward paths that will strengthen you. There is also a lesson in surrender attached to this miracle, because surrender does not mean giving up, it means releasing the need to control every detail, and control often stems from fear, and fear limits what faith can expand. So release the need to predict exactly how your blessing will arrive and allow it to surprise you in ways that exceed your expectations. The angels are saying that you are not just first in line for a moment of joy, you are first in line for a shift in identity, a shift where you begin to see yourself not as someone constantly trying to survive but as someone fully capable of thriving. Your environment may begin to change gradually, your mindset will become clearer, your decisions will feel more confident, and your energy will feel lighter because heavy cycles are closing, and closure is necessary before expansion, and expansion is necessary before manifestation. Remain grounded, remain humble, remain aware that your growth is the true miracle that allows external miracles to attach themselves naturally to your life. As you continue forward, carry this assurance deep within your spirit. You are not waiting anymore, you are transitioning, you are not hoping blindly, you are aligning intentionally, and the blessing prepared just for you is not drifting away. It is drawing nearer with every step you take in faith and patience. And soon what felt like anticipation will transform into gratitude as you realize that being first in line was never about urgency, it was always about readiness, and you are ready now. Now you are standing at the edge of fulfillment, and what once felt distant is no longer far away but unfolding step by step in ways that are more stable and lasting than you ever imagined, because when a miracle is truly prepared for you it does not rush in to overwhelm your life, it enters with divine order, strengthening every area it touches so that the blessing does not become a burden but a foundation for a greater future. The angels are saying that this is the moment where faith becomes sight, where what you believed in quietly begins to show itself openly, and where your endurance is rewarded not just with results but with understanding, because you will soon look back and realize that every delay, every closed door, every uncomfortable transition was positioning you precisely where you needed to be to receive this without fear. You have grown stronger in ways that are invisible to others but clear in the spiritual realm, and strength that is built in silence carries more power than strength that is announced publicly, because silent growth is rooted deeply and cannot be shaken easily by temporary storms. The blessing prepared for you is not only about external success, it is about internal stability, about waking up with peace instead of anxiety, about moving forward without constant doubt, about trusting your decisions instead of second-guessing yourself, and this transformation is the true miracle because when your mind and spirit align with clarity, everything else begins to align naturally around you. There will be confirmations in the coming days that show you this message was not random, you will notice patterns shifting, you will see certain obstacles dissolve, you will experience conversations that open doors instead of closing them, and you will feel a quiet confidence rising within you that does not need validation from others because it is rooted in divine assurance. The angels want you to remain attentive but not anxious, receptive but not desperate, hopeful but not pressured, because what is prepared for you cannot be stolen by timing, comparison, or doubt. It belongs to you in this season because you are ready to carry it responsibly, wisely, and with gratitude. Remember that miracles are not always dramatic events, sometimes they are steady upgrades in your circumstances, consistent improvements in your mindset, and gradual expansion of your opportunities, and these steady miracles often last longer than sudden ones because they are built on stability rather than excitement. You may find yourself stepping into rooms you once felt unqualified for, speaking with clarity where you once hesitated, making decisions that reflect maturity instead of fear, and these shifts are evidence that the line you are first in is not about competition but about readiness, because readiness determines reception, and you have reached a level of readiness that cannot be denied. There were times when you doubted your path, when you wondered if you were moving in the wrong direction, when you questioned whether your efforts mattered, but nothing was wasted. Every lesson strengthened your discernment, every challenge refined your patience, every setback built resilience, and resilience is one of the greatest qualities needed to sustain long-term blessings. The miracle prepared for you is not fragile, it is designed to grow with you, to expand as you expand, to increase as you increase in wisdom and understanding, and that is why this season feels different from all the previous ones. As you continue forward, protect your peace intentionally, because peace is the environment where blessings multiply, and when you guard your peace you guard your progress. Do not allow old fears to whisper doubts into this new chapter, do not let past disappointments define your expectations, and do not shrink yourself to fit spaces you have already outgrown. The angels are reminding you that elevation requires confidence, and confidence grows from recognizing that you are supported spiritually even when circumstances seem uncertain temporarily. You may soon receive news, opportunities, or confirmations that make you pause in gratitude, moments where you feel a deep sense of relief because something you prayed for has finally aligned, and when that moment comes, remember this journey, remember the growth, remember the patience, and carry forward the humility that kept you grounded through the waiting season. The blessing prepared for you is not only for your benefit but also for the lives you will influence through your stability and growth, because when you rise in peace, you naturally become a source of encouragement for others who are still waiting in their own process. This final stage of the message is not about urgency but about assurance, not about fear but about faith, not about pressure but about promise, because divine promises are fulfilled through alignment, and alignment has already begun. You are not chasing your miracle anymore, you are walking into it steadily, confidently, and with clarity. Trust the process unfolding, remain grateful for the small signs of progress, and continue moving forward with steady belief because what has been prepared for you is not fading away, it is solidifying, strengthening, and positioning itself fully into your life at the perfect moment. And when everything finally settles into place, when the clarity becomes undeniable, when the doors remain open instead of closing, when the peace stays instead of disappearing, you will understand that being first in line was never about speed, it was about divine timing meeting personal growth, and that meeting point is where true miracles manifest. Stay steady, stay faithful, stay open, because what is yours is arriving with stability, and this chapter will not be temporary, it will be transformational, and you are fully ready to receive it with confidence and gratitude. If this message spoke directly to your spirit, don't scroll away, pause right now and type, "I receive this miracle," in the comments as a declaration of faith. Like this video, share it with someone who needs encouragement, and subscribe now so you never miss the blessing that could be prepared just for you.